Alright, so hello and welcome to a Magicka tutorial. This time it's going to be from Magicka Wizard Wars, which is like an online PvP version of Magicka. Or like rather specifically meant for PvP, because you could play PvP in previous versions, just not quite as good. So, I'm going to assume that you haven't played any other Magicka games. I'm just going to start from the very basics. Okay, so this is Magicka. You conjure elements, then you cast spells. So if you press any of these keys, Q, W, E, or click on them, then you will notice that you have like a thing, an icon down here. You could summon up to 3 elements at once, or conjure up to 3 elements. And then you can either right click once you have these elements conjured, and you will cast it towards your mouse, or you can middle click and you will do either an AoE cast or self cast. If the spell contains only beneficial elements, such as life or shield, then it will be self-cast. If it contains dangerous elements, such as arcane, it contains only dangerous elements, such as like arcane or lightning, then it will be area cast. So, I'm going to give a quick rundown of the 8 elements here. So, also, quick side note, there is friendly fire, so try not to hit your friends. They won't like it. So, the 8 elements are water, which is Q, life, which is W, shield, which is E, cold, which is R, lightning, which is A, arcane / death, I don't recall exactly what it's called in this game, but I call it arcane, is S, and then D is earth, and F is fire. In addition, there are 2 other sort of like sub-elements that you could create. So if you combine both water and cold, and you cast that spell, you'll notice that it's different from either water or cold, because it shoots like icicle things out. It's the same thing if you do water and fire, and then now it's steam. So water and cold makes ice, water and fire makes steam. Let's see. Okay, so here are some basic things about the elements. So what water does, water wets the target, and it also, if you area cast it especially, and you use it, then it pushes the target away. And when a target is wet, it will take more damage from lightning, and they will not be able to conjure lightning, and it's easier to freeze them. But it doesn't actually do any damage on its own. Let's see, life, it's pretty self-explanatory, it heals. Also, you can heal enemies too. And the longer you keep healing, the more it heals. Let's see, shield forms barriers like that, and like this. Also, you can only have 1 shield at any time. It forms barriers and wards, which I'll explain in a little bit. And cold will slowly target down, so if you just cast cold. And eventually, if you keep going for long enough, it will freeze the target like that, and then you can deal a bunch of damage with a rock, if you make it strong enough. Like that. Let's see, lightning. I'm gonna wait for this training dummy to come back. Okay, so lightning, it like shoots like lightning bolts forwards, and then if there's a target nearby, then it will arc and hit them, like that. And actually, I'm gonna spawn some imps so I can demonstrate its other ability, which is that if they are nearby, it will like arc through one into the other, which I think you saw there. If not, well. Okay, so next is arcane / death, which from now on, I'm gonna call that arcane because I'm used to it. So what it does is it just creates like a beam of death, or arcane, and it pretty much is just a very basic damage dealing thing. You'll probably end up using it a lot. Let's see, earth, you use it for like earthy things, like shooting rocks. So like that. Okay. It deals a fairly high amount of damage. And finally we have fire, which burns the target. Also, cold does half of the damage of fire ordinarily, unless you have like something that changes the damage. Like I have a robe that increases my cold damage and decreases my water effectiveness, and also increases my earth damage and increases my lightning damage. So, okay. So now, however, there are also opposites. For example, if you try to conjure water and electricity, you'll notice that they cancel each other out. So water and lightning Those cancel each other out. Life and Arcane cancel each other out. Shield is its own opposite, so you can only have one shield in any spell. Cold and Fire cancel each other out, and Lightning also cancels out with Earth. So there are like 7-ish kinds of damaging spells in this game. There are sprays, for example, Fire. That's a spray. Cold. There are beams like this. There is like a lightning attack like that. There are also rocks like that, and there are icicles. I'm going to call them icicles. I don't know if there's a technical name. Icicles, which are just like little things of ice you just shoot out. There are mines, which explode when somebody like walks on them and walks off. They will blow up like that. And then finally, or not finally, then there are storms, which is like a storm of a given element. Whoops, that's not what I have to do. Like a firestorm, like that. Or maybe element walls is a better term. I don't know. So they're like that. And finally, there is area casting, which is sort of like the other ones, but it changes the behavior of some spells a little. So there's like if you area cast fire, it's like a giant puff of fire. Okay, so now some more stuff. Oh yeah, right. Also, if you have no elements, then by right-clicking or whatever your cast button is, you will attack with your sword, and if you hold it down, then you will do whatever your weapon special ability is. For the default sword, it's just a like quick flurry of 3 attacks, which can be useful. Alright, now, here's some more stuff about these things. Okay, so each kind of damaging spell has like a priority, which is, if it's combined with something of a higher priority, it will be the kind of attack of a higher priority, which might not make much sense. So for example, fire is a spray. If you combine fire, which is a spray, with arcane, which is a beam, the beam has higher priority, and therefore the attack will be a beam and not a spray. The only elements that will ever form a spray are water, cold, and fire. However, and you can mix those together as you wish. Also, steam is a spray, but it's kind of like the other ones. But if you put water and cold together, it will not be a spray, it will be icicles instead. Okay, so the fire spray does like a moderate amount of damage. It's not great for dealing damage, but you could. The cold spray is not good for damage at all, but it does freeze the opponent. And then if you do manage to freeze them, usually they won't stand still this long, but if they do, then you can destroy them with a rock. The water spray is only really good for wetting, or I guess if they're too close, then you could do an area cast and knock them away. But it's just really not good for that much. Or rather, it's not good for damaging. So then there are the also, okay, so if you're wet, like if I were to do this, oh no, I'm wet, and you can tell because you're like sweating, but you're not really sweating, it's just wet. Then what you do is you do fire, and then you area cast, and you'll be dried. If you have, if you are cold, like this, then you can cast fire and you'll warm yourself up. Well, I mean, that's like if you're like frozen, but not quite frozen. And finally, if you're on fire, like that, you cast water or cold on yourself and you will no longer be on fire. Okay, so next type of attacks is a beam. A beam has priority of 2, or the second priority, or just above spray. So anything that normally would be a spray, but you combine with arcane, it becomes a beam. You can also make like life beams, but those aren't really good for damaging things. The only real reason that you would combine another element with life is, for example, if one of your like bros is on fire, then you can do like a healing beam, a healing water beam, and heal him while you're cooling him off. Although then again, you just made him wet too, so probably only want to do it for a couple seconds. Anyway, next you have lightning spells. So these are like this, like and it has a higher priority still than beam. So if I combine arcane and lightning, you'll notice it is a lightning bolt and not a beam. Also, if you combine it with the spray, it naturally takes priority over that as well. So, rock. This is like almost the ultimate priority in terms of things. So, for example, if you have a rock with a beam and a spray, it still makes this. You can't have it with lightning, but you can't have it with icicles, which are in fact a level just below it. So, for example, if I put it like this, then it is a rock and not a spray of like earth icicles or something. So rocks, you charge them up, and you see that bar right underneath my health. Once it fills up all the way and is red, then it will knock you over, and it will do a pretty high amount of damage. But usually it's better to release it before it gets to that point, because if I release it now, see, it does 573 damage. If I wait all the way, I'm knocked down, and it only does 669. So it's probably not that much more efficient it's probably better to just shoot 2 rocks. Anyway, with icicles, so that's with water in this, it has higher priority than beams, because if you notice, I put arcane into this, and it will still shoot. They have the same sort of charging up mechanism that, rocks do. Okay, so there are 2 more kinds now. Well, there are the mines, which I already sort of demonstrated. These have, well, the shield element always has ultimate priority over everything. So if there's ever a shield, it will never be like, you can't like throw a shield rock or anything like that. You just sort of, you make a rock wall. Okay, and finally, or not finally, next there are storms, which are shield plus an element but not arcane, or shield plus an element but not only arcane. If you do an element with higher priority than arcane, and you combine arcane, like lightning and arcane, you put them together, then you get like an arcane lightning wall, which is pretty sweet. If you do like cold and arcane, then you get mines, however, because it doesn't have like priority, because cold is just a spray. If you do this, you also get mines, because they're also just sprays. Also, you can set off mines with rocks if you hit them properly, like that. Okay. Although you probably don't want to do it when you're quite so close. But anyway, and finally there's area casting. So each of the previous damage types has its own version of the area cast, except instead of just shooting forwards, it'll shoot in all directions. Like if I do a spray, it goes out in all directions. So like I said before, if you press the self-cast / area cast button and it contains any beneficial elements, it will always be cast on yourself. So for example, life, cast on myself. Shield, this doesn't cast on yourself because it's just shield, so it forms a dome. So I guess that's an exception, but other than that, it will. Okay, so sprays, it's like it shoots out like that's not a spray. It shoots out like a cloud of the element outwards, and it'll hit everything in its path. And the water one will knock them over and send them flying a little. It's not quite as drastic as the original game. It won't like kill them, but let's see. Beam. So if you do this, it'll be like a large ring of just pure damage. Unless you use the life one, which instead, when you hold it down, it will keep healing you. If you just press it once, it'll heal you once. But if you keep holding it down, it'll start progressively healing you more and more and more, as you can see. So that's 127, but now it's at 175. And eventually, once that bar fills up, you will be unable to keep healing. Usually it's not an issue though. So if you do a self-cast with a mine, like ASE, then and you start on yourself, you notice you have this aura. This is a ward, which I will explain more in the next video. And finally, there are storms. So if you cast like EA on yourself, this is now a lightning ward. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. This one's just about the basic damage types and stuff. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.